Queensland is to have a new police minister less than 2 weeks after the last one was sworn in. David Gibson resigned last night after he was allegedly caught speeding while his driver's licence was suspended, although he says he was unaware that he wasn't allowed to drive. Premier Campbell Newman has now appointed Jack Dempsey to the post. Let's go to state political reporter Chris O'Brien, who's in Brisbane. So firstly, Chris, what's known about the circumstances surrounding David Gibson's resignation?
Ros, pretty bizarre and convoluted. This all goes back to last year and early this year while Mr Gibson was still in opposition. And what apparently has happened is that he was caught speeding last year but then didn't pay the fine. He was sent repeated reminders to pay the fine, but for one reason or another just didn't pay it. Because he didn't pay the fine, the authorities then decided to suspend his licence, and it was suspended from November to February. Then in February he drove and was caught allegedly speeding again. So not only speeding again allegedly, but doing so without a licence. Now all of this has come to light just in recent days, and Mr Gibson approached the Premier's office last night with the news that no Premier wants to hear, let alone a Premier who's only been in the job for 3 weeks. And the Premier, Campbell Newman, says he had no choice but to insist, and David Gibson resigned as Police Minister, as you say, less than 2 weeks after being in the ministry.
That's right, only 2 weeks old, already a resignation. How's that playing out there?
Some people are sympathetic, Ros. Some are saying it's been an overreaction by the new Premier, that David Gibson shouldn't have paid this price. Mr Newman himself said a speeding offence is not a hanging offence, but Mr Newman says it's not just one speeding offence, it's the allegation of a second one and doing so while unlicensed. And Ros, he says it's about ministerial integrity.
We rely on these people to do the right job. They actually have to have it in here. They've got to have that integrity and character in here. And if someone isn't actually going to tell you that there's a problem, well, that is a problem in itself.
So, Chris, what's known about the new police minister, Jack Dempsey?
Not terribly much, Ros. As you could imagine, we don't know too much about many of the new ministers because they've all only been in the job for 2 weeks. Mr Dempsey was previously the Minister for Indigenous Affairs, so he'll be promoted now to Police Minister when that happens. Glenn Elms, who was the Deputy Speaker in the new Parliament, which hasn't even sat yet, he'll now go into the ministry. So less than 2 weeks after swearing in the ministry, Campbell Newman already forced to move the chess pieces around the chessboard.
Chris, thank you.